All right, everyone, welcome to Tuesday Talks. Welcome to our webinar and Zoom tonight. Hey, for those of you that are calling or dialing into our webinar from the East Coast, thank you so much for joining us. We know you're 3 hours behind the schedule for us here in Southern California. And for those that are coming back and you're here, you're always joining us every single week. Thank you for joining us again today. Man, we have a great program. You heard some of the music in our background as we're coming into our program today. It took me back, to the days where I used to watch TV. I don't really watch TV very often now. One, I don't have a whole lot of time. Number two is I don't really think there's a whole lot of value on TV anymore. But when I was younger, I actually watched some of these great TV shows like The Love Boat. I don't know if you guys remember watching that show and on TV and just watching what goes on a cruise and all the stories behind it. And if you look on the bottom, I believe that you can actually see down below, it says raise your hand. It's like a high five thing. You just raise your hand. You can see it. But how many of you guys saw The Love Boat? Anybody remember watching The Love Boat? Yeah? Okay, look at that. All the hands are going up. Classic show. And then I just, there were so many other songs that we played. T.J. Hooker. Do you guys remember T.J. Hooker, William Shatner, and Heather Locklear in the TV show called T.J. Hooker? Anybody remember that show? And more hands are going up. And then, of course, the last song that we ended, we actually had a few other songs, and we didn't realize it was already 6:30, and so we just jumped on, and it was the theme song from SWAT. And I know I've watched the old classic, TV show SWAT, and then now's the new one, and then I know we've seen movies of SWAT and so forth, and so I just can't tell you how excited I am. We're this evening, in just a little bit, I'm going to be introducing you guys Aaron Spelling's son, Randy Spelling, and Aaron has done so many other wonderful, let's see here, what's going on? We have technical difficulties. Are we good? Okay, cool. I'm assuming you guys can hear me well right now, but Aaron has been such an amazing person that brought so much value to the entertainment world. And so anyway, I can't tell you how excited that we're going to be having Randy here in just a moment. But today, one of the things I want to do real quickly is get started with our announcements here real quickly, and then we'll get into my presentation, if you would. So at this time, for those of you that are joining us here for the very first time, just to give you a little bit of a background, we have been doing these webinars, if you would, Zoom webinars and whatever, for the last 4 months, right in February. I think it was like right around February 19th and 20th, as our nation was faced with this awful, powerful virus called COVID-19. We all had to stay at home and we had to quarantine ourselves. And we're just facing some very unprecedented times. I mean, certainly we never thought that we would be, maybe we watched it on a movie or a TV show about, outbreaks and pandemics. And then, of course, the other show, the zombie show, those were all fictitious. We never thought we would be facing something like that in our own lives, especially today. But we normally get in front of a crowd every week, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays throughout the United States, and I'll travel to different parts of the country and talk in front of a live audience, right? I mean, it was awesome just to be able to provide content and training. And then, of course, when COVID-19 happened, I basically had to quarantine and figure out how we would adapt to the changes and still continue, and that's exactly when we launched Tuesday Talks. So it's been awesome. I mean, people have been dialing in and listening, and then they've been introducing us to other people, and more people have been joining us. And we just appreciate it. We're just excited that we can continue to provide you awesome content and some value to your business. Next week, just so you guys know, or not next week, in a couple of days, I got two lawyers, Jerry Kane and Glenn Wagstaff, both attorneys, who will be going and talking to you about living trust and asset protection and things like that. So make sure that you register down below. It's absolutely free. If you want to know everything about protecting your assets, learning more about how money works, and also how to make sure that you are in a right place in avoiding probate and things like that,
So these two attorneys are going to get on and talk to you about a lot of different things. So make sure you register and tune in at 2:00 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Also, this coming Saturday, I've got a program called Shin-tastic Saturday. Please join us. We also give some great content there about business, entrepreneurship, leadership, whatever it is. And then next week on Tuesday, I've got another amazing lady named Dr. Sonia Stribling, who's got her own TV show and just doing amazing things around the world. So this is the content you're going to get from Sonia is going to blow you away. I've seen a lot of speakers, and I don't get very impressed very quickly, or it's very difficult to please me, if you would, in that space, because I've heard so many speakers. And I'll tell you what, I would say that Sonia, I would put her probably in one of my top 5 speakers I've ever seen, and she'll be joining us and giving you some powerful information as well. So there you have it. Now, for those of you that don't know me and who I am, I just want you guys to know that both my wife and I, my wife Arlene and I, became entrepreneurs. I think we always wanted to be entrepreneurs. We just didn't know where to get started. And so in 1996, though we started our businesses earlier, you know, I'm not sure what's going on with my screen here. What just happened? Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, you guys, my computer just started doing something really wacky. So we're gonna, I guess, what should I do here? Just look at that right there. Yeah, okay. So, where was I? Yeah, my whole computer just went completely black right now, you guys. I don't know what happened, my screen. Anyway, it's crazy. We've been doing this for 4 months, and we're still, just when we thought, we're like, all right, today's episode is going to be perfect and flawless. We're not going to have any sound issues or computer issues, and it never fails. Always something, and now my computer just went black. But it's okay. We have backup screens here and everything. So if I'm looking over to the side, it's because I'm looking at a different screen than my own computer that was originally here in front of me. But for my wife and I, our journey started earlier in the 90s. And then in 1996, we read well, no, it was actually 1995, we read a book called Think and Grow Rich. Now, for those of you that never heard of this book, have not read this book, I want to tell you how powerful it is that this man here, Napoleon Hill, in 1937, and I want you to think about what was happening in the 30s. It was during the Great Depression that Napoleon Hill wrote this book. And when he wrote it, he went off and started interviewing some amazing people like Thomas Edison. And he was actually commissioned by Andrew Carnegie. And Andrew Carnegie basically said, Napoleon, I would love to see you interview some of my dearest and closest friends and ask them what you just asked me. And what Napoleon had asked Andrew Carnegie is, what is the secret to becoming successful? Is there a formula? Is there a recipe to becoming successful? And so he went off, spent 25 years of his life interviewing people like Thomas Edison. And he did, of course, interview Andrew Carnegie, Henry Ford, Theodore Roosevelt, the Wright brothers. And if you don't know who these people are, you really should go and Google them and understand what kind of value they contributed to our society. The Rockefellers and many, many others. In fact, Napoleon Hill interviewed over 500 people. And it's sad that the younger generation today, they really don't know who Henry Ford is, right? And you got to think about this. Like, go back in time, to the 30s and think about, the resources that these people had. They didn't have Google, right? They didn't have YouTube. They didn't have podcasts. And yet they still figured out how to go out there and invent some of these things and really change the world that we live in today. So, I've talked to a lot of younger people today, and I asked them if they knew who Henry Ford was. And surprisingly, they said, well, wasn't he like a former president? And I said, a president of what? And they said, the president of the United States. And that kind of took me back because, yeah, we did have a president, but it wasn't Henry Ford. It was a different Ford. I asked them if they knew or heard of the Wright brothers, and they said yes. And they said, aren't they like a group or a band from the 50s or 60s? And that's the wrong Wright brothers, So it's interesting that the younger generation really don't know the history of our country and, in fact, the world. And so what we wanted to do, because we understand that the younger generation love podcasts, YouTube, and movies, right? So I had the privilege with several of my partners to make a movie called Think and Grow Rich, The Legacy, based on the original book, right? So based on this original book, we made a movie, and this movie, we showed it, it had a limited screening with AMC theaters, and then after that, we went to digital, and then we went on a tour around the world. Well, recently, we've been showing this movie Friday nights for movie nights, and we've had a lot of people from all over the world tune in, watch the movie, and it's been awesome, and they've been asking, where can we get it? And you can actually buy it right here at my website at johnshin.com. And as soon as you order it, we'll fulfill the order and get it to you right away. But if you want to see a movie that will change your life, I mean, literally change your life, this is going to be the best $25 investment you ever make. Okay, and so now you can also get a modern day version of Think and Grow Rich right here. Then they made a Black choice, a Latino choice, a women's choice, and then of course I had the privilege and honor to write the Asian version of this book. And also, you know, in my book, I did not interview just Asians. There's not just Asian people in my book. I've got Caucasian, get it, Asian, Caucasian, Asian, you know. I've got all the different ethnicities, from Penny Oy to Jack Ma, Elon Musk, Vera Wang, Dwayne Johnson, Raja Dhaliwal, Kevin Harrington, Jamie Villalobos, Steve Aoki, and the list continues to grow. And I've got so many amazing people that are in my book. And what was it for them that helped them to become successful? And so the book went crazy viral around the world. And then we were going on a worldwide tour, we'll talk about here in a second. And right now, just so you know, the ebook version is now available on Amazon. If you want, you can go to Amazon and watch this or get the book. And it was at $27.95. We cut the price for you guys. I got the approval from the publisher, which is Sound Wisdom, and the Napoleon Hill Foundation, to reduce this price just for the month of June. Only for the month of June, just so you can go out there and get the ebook version of this for basically $2.99. I mean, there's no way. This book is not even a book. I mean, it's 300 pages. There's so much content that we had to make it longer, right? Because I didn't want to just put it in a very short book, because I just had too much information to share with you on what to do to start your business, get it going. And so I've got 300 plus pages in this book, and it is available also on audio. But for $2.99, I mean, you can get the print version right on your computer, okay? So you can get that right now, again, and then once you read it, I need you guys to do me a favor, because I need your help. I really do. And I need you to go in there and give me a review, a good review, a nice review, okay? Be nice. And put it here on Amazon, okay? Now, some people have emailed and texted us and said, hey, I actually put a review on that, and for whatever reason, Amazon didn't post it or print it or whatever. If you just go in there and do it again, they'll go ahead and put it in. Sometimes it just falls through the crack and it just doesn't go up there, but go ahead and do it again, and they'll go ahead and post it, okay? Then we went on our tour around the world, and this tour, Think and Grow Rich Legacy World Tour, was life-changing. Not for the other people, it was for the people who attended it, but also for myself, right? I had an opportunity to meet some amazing people, and what I learned is they say that what you learn after you think you know it all makes all the difference. And I believe that for me, when I thought I knew it all, and that's why I went on this tour trying to help everyone else, I realized that I didn't know as much as I thought I knew, and I had a lot more to learn still, right? So this tour has been amazing. Obviously, right now, we're not on tour because of what's going on around the world. We stopped until next year, and maybe we'll resume back next year. But for this year, we're going to be just doing virtual training, such as what we're doing right now, okay? And then on the tour, I've spoken on the stage and shared the stage with some amazing people like Condoleezza Rice, this wonderful lady here, Barbara Corcoran, who is a shark on a television show called The Shark Tank. Amazing lady, just a tremendous amount of knowledge and experience. What can I say about Barbara? I can talk all day about her. Martin Sheen, both Martin and I sit on the board of the Manny Pacquiao Foundation. I've got Rob Dyrdek also. Rob Dyrdek is also in my movie. This is Stedman Graham. I don't know if you guys all know who Stedman is, but Stedman is in a movie. Stedman, also great speaker, but Stedman also, you may know his wife or spiritual partner, business partner, you know, partner in so many different ways. His significant other is Oprah. Oprah Winfrey, okay? So they've been together for almost 30 years, I believe now. And so Stedman came to my house. We had some great conversations, and we're talking about some of the things that we want to do together. And so we're actually going to launch it this year. And then, of course, COVID happened. Everything came to a screeching halt, but we'll start to resume things again next year. But, you know, Stedman, just so you guys know, is like 6'9", and people always ask me, like, how I was so tall in this picture, and that's what folding chairs are all about. So if you're looking at this photo, hopefully you got a little chuckle out of that. Steve Aoki, another amazing story, one of the, probably now the highest paid DJ in the world, Steve Aoki. And then you got Mario Lopez. I don't know if you guys all know him, but you know, I was on his podcast show a few times, and now we've been talking about co-authoring a book together. And then we were hosting some events together last year. And then one of the most incredible things happened for my wife and I. We both got knighted by the Royal Order of Constantine the Great and St. Helen. Tremendous honor, and the responsibilities that come with, you know, being knighted is pretty large. And so we took that responsibility to make a difference around the world. And so this is my wife right here, just so you can get a picture of her. All right. And the question that we get from a lot of people is, how did this all happen to us? So the way this all happened for my wife and I is, number one, we prayed. We basically got down on our knees and prayed about the things that we wanted in life. And the things that we wanted in life basically required two things, right? One is more time, right? And two is more money. So those are the two things that we needed more of in order for us to do the things that we wanted to do. And we prayed and we prayed and we prayed. And it's amazing that when you pray for things, when you start to ask for things, that you wonder that when you pray for things, that God sends you things that you ask for in a different package, okay? And so I'm not quite sure what you're looking for right now. I'm not really sure what your outcome is to be on our webinar tonight. But I think that everything happens for a reason. Obviously, you're here. We just have to figure out what it is. But I think sometimes timing is it. And maybe right now, what I might talk to you guys about today could be the answer. What Randy may be sharing with you this afternoon or later today is going to be the answer. So timing is everything. And for us, when we started our business, we understood and recognized this generation of people called the baby boomers that were born between 1946 and 64. And these baby boomers, as they were getting older and older and older, they really drove the stock market. So what I mean by this is, what my wife did is she did some research and discovered that in the 1940s, the companies that were doing well in the 1940s were all baby-related companies, like Gerber Food, Johnson & Johnson. And as the babies got a little bit older, it was Mattel, right, and Hasbro. The babies wanted toys. And then the babies got a little bit older, and it was the fast food industry. And then came the car industry. Then came technology, right? And then came real estate. And then came retirement. And we're finally here. Excuse me. We're finally here at the right place at the right time, okay? So this is the space that we're in, and we've built a distribution around the United States. We're in all 50 states now and up in Canada, but we're still growing. And we're growing faster now than ever. In fact, we're growing faster now than ever because of Zoom, because of virtual training, and the fact that I can now meet all of you through a platform like this, whereas before I didn't have this opportunity, right? I actually had to fly somewhere. I had to go to somebody's office or business or home or wherever. I had to go out and meet people. Well, now I can meet all of you guys like this, okay, which is pretty incredible. So one of the things that both my wife and I are very, very passionate about, we're huge advocates of financial literacy and how it's a necessity today. We think that too many people are financially illiterate today. And it's not an offensive statement. I'm not trying to sound like I'm being condescending, right, in any way, or put somebody down. But the fact is, hey, we don't understand how money works, right? Most people don't know the difference between an ETF and a UIT, or the difference between a Roth and a traditional IRA, or the difference between whole life and universal life, or the difference between passive management and active management, or what is a CD versus a CD, right? So we are all financially ignorant. And I was too, and I was pretty well educated, and I really didn't really understand money either. And so I felt like I had a pretty good education, had a lot of formal education, but I never really got the understanding of how money works. And so that's what my wife and I are very, very passionate about, is educating people about money and finance. And so if you look at our country today, and that's where I said put financial literacy as a necessity here. Now, if you look at our country, 2012, 37 states required sex education. Now, I have nothing against sex education. I think it's important to teach our children about, STD and, teenage pregnancy and preventing, unwanted pregnancies, if you would. And so I think it's important. So if our children are financially illiterate, right, but they understand how sex works, I think that if they understand sex, they're mature enough to know how money works. And yet our country, only 4 states require mandatory financial education in high school. In fact, in 2015, we added 1 state, which is Alabama. And then in 2012, we added 2 more states. So we only have a total of 7 that require financial literacy courses in high school today. Now, just so you know, I want you to know that I believe in the 6 steps to financial security. These are the 6 pillars of financial security right here. So let me just go through this pretty quickly so we can get Randy on here with you guys shortly. But number 1 is to increase cash flow, right? I think every single one of you need to make more money now, and more than ever, where we used to say that having another stream of income, was just a luxury. I think it's now a necessity. You need to have another stream of income. Number 2, getting out of debt and managing your debt. 3 is having an emergency fund. No question, now I think that people realize, oh, I better start creating an emergency fund because emergencies happen and I don't want to sit there and be dependent on someone or a government to bail you out. Okay, you got to have deeper pockets than that. And then we want to make sure that we have long-term savings and make sure that you preserve your assets and preserve your estate, and make sure that upon your death, that everything you worked hard to will actually go to the people that you wanted to go to, okay? So it's very, very important to understand how important all 6 of these things are. Now look, when you're sick, right, where do you go? You go to a hospital, and let's say that you had a primary care physician, like at a Kaiser, for instance, and that, if they, you see your primary care physician, your PCP, and then if you need a specialist, they tell you to go see, an endocrinologist or a radiologist or a cardiologist or some other, ologist. And so what we did is we adopted a very similar model to a hospital, and we created our own hospital, but we call it our financial hospital. And basically what we did is this. We offer everything from lending, different kinds of loan programs. We do merchant processing. We do property and casualty. We do insurance, annuities, retirement, college planning, you name it. I mean, gosh, investment advisory services, business and tax strategies. We do estate planning. We do all these things. So we created our own financial hospital. And again, when we first started this, what did everybody say? They said this wasn't going to work, right? And so it's interesting that 6 years later, that we know it works, because we've now opened up over 200 locations around 50 different states, and we're still growing, and we've got everything in place, okay? Now I come to you guys with a very robust background in terms of businesses and all the different businesses I've invested into. And I've invested into solar panels, e-commerce type businesses, movies, software, farms, real estate. And let me just tell you what the most lucrative business has been for us is financial services. Not that those other businesses didn't make money. They all made money, okay, which is good news for us. But for me, what was the risk, the return, and the amount of work I put into something and what I get back? I'll tell you what, there's no other industry that I can think of than financial services that is a tremendous rate of return on the amount of time and effort you put into something. And not to mention the fact that I believe that financial services is a need, not a luxury, okay? So this is what I've been telling people lately, is that if you don't come out of this quarantine or stay in home order, or, as you're sitting at home and you're still scared, even though businesses are opening up, we are starting to see, some drastic changes in the amount of people who are dying from COVID-19. Let me just tell you something. If you're still sitting at home right now, you really should learn a new skill. You should get some new knowledge. You should learn a new side hustle, right? And let me just tell you, if you don't come out of this quarantine with one of those three things, then it's not that you lacked time. It's just that you lack discipline, okay? And so I want to encourage you. Some of you are like, you know what, John, you're right. I do lack discipline. I don't know how money works. I don't even know how I got this far in my life. I get it. And so if you lack discipline right now, I want to encourage you to go to my my YouTube channel. And I think that somewhere in there, I don't know what it's under, but it's called Lack of Discipline. Learn how to inject more discipline into you, okay? Because I think that that's what you need. You need to learn how to put more discipline into your life so that you can actually have some passive and residual income, right? Now, I can sit here and talk for hours and even days in terms of the difference between passive and residual income. I like them both, but I want you to get those, right? Earlier, when I was talking about my personal life, it wasn't about me and being braggadocious. It was about me telling you guys what you should be doing, right? To live a great life. Some of you guys are saying, well, I live a great life now. Well, compared to what, right? I mean, you don't know what you have, right? Until you don't know what you have. So when you realize that somebody's living like this, maybe that's gonna, you can fight for that. But I always just wanted to be the best version of me, right? To be rich. When I say rich, I mean not just financially rich, but to be rich in all areas of your life, and so I'd like to help you with that kind of stuff, okay? And so if I have more time, I talk to you guys about passive income and residual income, but I don't. Go to my YouTube channel and we'll tell you more about passive income and residual income. But just to give you a quick idea what passive is, it's, stocks, rental properties, right? Annuities, high yield savings account, things like that. Those are your passive income, okay? And then of course there's residual income, and residual would be things like income that you receive after a sale, such as making a movie, becoming a songwriter, becoming an author. And again, it comes back to what? Financial services. So again, just want you guys to know that those are all the different things that that you need to do is start developing passive and residual income, okay? And I would be honored to help you guys to get passive and residual income, right? I wish if some of you guys can hang out with me for a day just to see what I do behind the scenes with my staff and how many people are making money, okay? And I want you to know that most people, when people say, John, I would love to become a business owner and be self-employed, but I'm told that if you start a business, that there's a high probability that I won't make it, right? Like 90% chance. Well, yeah, the odds are not really for you, right? I mean, if they're saying that 90% of businesses are going to fail within the first 2 years, okay, there's a reason for that. And I know why most businesses fail. That's why I go in there and I talk to businesses and I show them where they're screwing things up, okay? And so I want you to realize that most businesses who fail don't have systems, but we do. We've created some amazing systems, right? So we've got business format systems, we got financial format systems, we've got licensing format systems, personal development systems, we've got leadership format systems, we've got all sorts of systems in place, right, to help you grow. And so maybe a business owner or someone who's self-employed and they're struggling, turn them on to us, right? I mean, we would love to meet these people, do a quick meet and greet through a Zoom webinar. And, we can spend 15, 20 minutes just introducing each other like a meet and greet. And so now we don't have to go and meet at a restaurant or someplace and drive through traffic, especially in Southern California. We can just meet and greet just like this. Man, I'll tell you what, if you only knew the number of people I've met in the last 4 months on Zoom, I mean, it's like I met more people in 4 months than I did like in 2 years, okay? That's because of the efficiency that we have with Zoom, okay? So we would love to help these people and counsel them. So if you're here for the very first time and someone invited you to get here, ask them, say, hey, I'd like to know how to make more money. It's okay to ask for help. Hey, I asked you guys for help earlier, right? I mean, I said, hey, could you guys help me out and go on my Amazon and put a post on there or a comment or something, or share my book with other people? I mean, what I'm not afraid to ask for help, right? And I think that some people, like, you don't want to ask for help because if you ask for help, maybe there's something wrong with you. If you ask for help, you think that people are going to say you must be incompetent. But actually, I think that, you have to be smarter than that, right? Because it does come down to not being afraid to ask for help, right? I tell people to ask without fear. Ask without fear, okay? Look, guys, you think that right now I would be the executive producer of the movie Think and Grow Rich? You know how many times I've had people come up to me around the world, where they come up and they say, I was going to do a movie on that book, and I'm like, so I didn't really say it out loud, but my inside voice said, well, then why didn't you? Right? I mean, why didn't you? Oh, I was going to do this. Well, why didn't you? Well, and so because most people, they didn't want to ask. Think about it. 4 billion Asian people on the face of this planet, and only one person ever called up the Napoleon Hill Foundation, one Asian, to say, hey, I'd like to be the author of the Asian version of it. Like, no one did it. And then the foundation said, what better person than yourself? And I was granted that right too, right? That's why I say ask without fear. You'd be surprised if you ask for help, right? How doors could open up for you. And so I just want you to know that we're all here to help you. We're all here to provide some value. And so I can't tell you how excited I am that I met a man, an individual here, a very special person who is an author. He used to be an actor, right? Can you imagine growing up as a child in the Spelling household, right? What their life must have been like with all the awards and accolades and, hanging around that Hollywood celebrity life and meeting some of the rich and famous and, as a child growing up there, right? And, he was an actor, then he became an author, then he became a speaker, a coach, a business strategist. He helps other businesses really get to the next level, but not just businesses, but individuals such as yourself, right? Where you are here today, right? And where you want to go, you can't get there by yourself, folks. I mean, if you're sitting there going, I could do this on my own, folks, I don't know anyone that is a multi-millionaire, or even a $1 million earner or $1 million saver. I don't know of anybody who got to where they are, let alone a billionaire, that did it on their own, right? All these people had people surround themselves with amazing mentors and coaches, and I brought one for you, right? I brought someone here that I think you would love to hear from and what his upbringing was like. And then he goes out there and he's mentoring and coaching people. He doesn't have to, but he loves what he does, right? And he wrote a book called The Unlimiting You, right? Unlimiting You. Step out of your past and into your purpose. See, I love that title, The Unlimiting You. See, a lot of you guys have these limitations that you put on you, right? And yet here, our next guest speaker is saying, hey, there's the unlimiting you to step out of your past. And look, a lot of you guys have had some rough times in the past, whatever it is, whether it's money, relationships, whether it was love, faith, health issues, you name it, right? Some of us, we've been on, guys, I have some really close friends that, unfortunately got addicted to alcohol, to drugs and whatever it is. And thank God they were able to ask me for help. And I did, right? And all these people that have the seeds of greatness, yet guess what? They let go of their past and into figure out what their future looks like to discover their purpose. So I can't tell you how excited I am to bring in our guest speaker here. He's going to share with you some amazing information. So please welcome to our Zoom webinar, Randy Spelling. Randy, how are you today? Oh, Randy, you're muted on the bottom. I don't know if you realize. There you go.
That's about the 5th time that happened to me today. You would think I would learn.
Hey, Randy, how are you?
I'm good, John. How are you?
We're doing great. We're doing great. So grateful that you joined us today. We've got a bunch of people here, many of them who are fans and of your whole family, your dad, your sister, Tori Spelling. And we're just grateful that you've given up some of your precious time to join us tonight and to really share with this audience what you've experienced over your life and the kind of content or value you'd like to share with them today. So, Randy, for those people who don't know you, and I wish they would get to know you because you've got such an amazing story. I mean, I think Hollywood should do a movie of you and your sister, right? And growing up in the life that you guys did, you know, I mean, that could be a Hollywood blockbuster itself. But could you share with everyone a little bit about your background? Because I know a lot of people, we played some songs, theme songs from some old TV shows like TJ Hooker, Love Boat, and Charlie's Angels, and 90210 earlier before we all got on this call about 45 minutes ago. But tell us a little bit about your background. I know you're an actor and everything else, but the other people that are here for the first time listening to you. So why don't you share us a little bit about your upbringing?
Sure. So as John said, I grew up in this sort of mega famous Hollywood family. My dad, Aaron Spelling, a famous television producer. My sister became an actress at an early age. And it was like a movie. I mean, there are many aspects of my life looking back now. You know, it's always funny in retrospect to look back and go, that was kind of crazy, right? That was wild.
Yeah.
And I mean, there's so many things to talk about. There were some really fantastical things, movie stars coming in and out of the house. But I was a young kid, so I didn't fully understand the depth of who people were, what was going on. I wasn't wowed by any of it because I saw it and I just wanted to play with toys and be a kid and spend time with my parents.
Yeah.
You know, part of my story, and it's not a woe is me story, but it was really confusing to figure out who I was in the midst of an uber famous father, you know, growing up with a lot of money. So already starting at the place where most people aspire to be, and the projections of everyone thinking, well, how could you want for anything? How life must be perfect for you because you're in this family growing up the way that you are in this, you know, mansion that's as big as the White House. And it was confusing. It was confusing to have all that and still not feel like I had everything. In fact, there were times that I felt I wanted more of a lot of things that I wasn't getting.
Right.
So I think part of my journey was to start there and go, what really matters? What is all of this about? I mean, why am I seeing people who have everything and yet I'm reading them, I'm sensing what's going on, and people aren't really that happy, or there's a smile and a lot of makeup with some real hurt and wounds, just like we all have. Like, why are people putting these people on pedestals? And I don't just mean my parents, but, you know, all these movie stars. And I'm hearing these stories behind the scenes of how people are a mess, or they're trying to figure out their life just like everyone else. And I was a part of that myself.
Wow, it's great. Now, how did you go? Because everybody thought you would be an actor, you know, maybe become a director, a producer, and all that. And you decided to become a coach, right? And so when did that calling happen? Like, when did you decide to go from Hollywood child to, hey, I want to become a coach, you know?
Right.
And how were you able to do that?
I had a couple different lives in between. So I was an actor, and then I really was passionate about music. I wanted to put some good music out there. So I started producing and opened up an independent record label on an imprint of a major. So, you know, ran that with a friend behind the scenes for a couple years, and then sort of went back into acting. And one of the things that I realized is I was just searching for who I was and how to find my purpose. And of course, everyone thought I was going to go into the business and take after my father,
Right.
which I did go into an aspect of the business. But again, I was trying to feel, where's my importance? Who am I? How do I leave my mark on the world? And I wasn't sure how to do that. So I just went into the family business, and I enjoyed it. It was fun. But then in my 20s, I started trying to fill myself with other things, got mixed up with drugs and alcohol. right? Typical Hollywood story. And I had to ask for help. Like you said,
Hey,
it wouldn't work on my own. Whatever I was doing wasn't working. And at that point, I'd still been into meditation. I was an avid reader. I was into psychology, but all these things were clouding my judgments and my reactions. And so basically around when my father passed away, about 3 o'clock in the morning, I literally just got down on my knees and I said, I don't know who can hear me right now, but please help me. I don't want to live my life in this sense of non-freedom, right? Like having to drink, having to get drugs, not being able to face the world and do the things that I want to do, having to numb myself. I said, I don't want that. And I said this out loud. I said, if I'm here for more, I believe that I am. If I'm here for more, I can't see how. Please help me. Please help me change this. And that started the ball rolling. Within the next couple of weeks, I did go to treatment. I got clean, and I started doing the hard work of figuring out who the hell I was, what I wanted to do. And I stepped back from everything. And it was really scary. It's all I knew, right? Everyone expected me. This is who you're going to be. This is what you're going to do. And I just said, how do I make myself happy? What is the mark I want to leave on the world? And, someone suggested coaching. And at the time, I'm sure you remember about 13, 14 years ago, coaching was just coming into popularity, but it was still kind of an unknown field to the masses. And checked a lot of boxes, and I signed up for a program. And they suggested coach everyone that you can while you're learning. And I did just that. I coached cousins of friends and sisters of relatives, just everyone I could.
yeah.
And, the rest is history. I never looked back.
Oh, that's awesome. That's awesome. Now, so you've got, I know you said, gosh, I don't even, but now today, you've got a little PowerPoint presentation, right, that you'd like to share with everyone. So let me see. Can we, okay, so I think you could just share it, Randy, on your side, and then and we can share that with everyone.
Okay. Let's see here. All right. Can you see that?
Oh, yeah, we can.
Okay. So welcome to the personal development part of the program.
Which is everything, just so everybody knows, right? So important.
Yeah, and one of the things that I wanted to share tonight is how to take personal development deeper, because I know I've had this, I hear this time and time again, where people, they're in seminars or they read books and they're trying to better themselves. And in the moment that they're reading a concept, it clicks and they go, oh yeah, and they circle it and they highlight it. And it's like the cog goes in the wheel and they go, oh, it just all makes sense now.
Yeah.
And then something happens and, your partner says something to you, a kid is screaming, you get some news about your business and all of a sudden that flies out the window. So I wanted to share 3 things, basically some of the invisible roadblocks that come up that stand in the way of people really getting what they want. So, for anyone here, have you been feeling like sometimes you hustle, you push and you grind? And I know there's so many people out there that talk about pushing and all of these incredible healthy habits, which I subscribe to, but a lot of it feels like pushing and pushing and pushing, right? And as I said, some of these self-help concepts that you read, you hear, they sound really good, but you just can't get them to stick or figure out how to do that on a daily basis. Some of you might feel exhausted. It's exhausting to push towards a goal and move forward and you can't figure it out, or you don't ask for help, or you don't have the right system and you're not getting to where you want to go. So I wanted to offer a better way. What if there was a way to elevate the way of using personal development that just feels better, more authentic, a way of doing something that you're able to be consistent, that isn't so hard to maintain that you go, yeah, well, gratitude is great, but I can't seem to do that on a daily basis. Right now, I'm struggling and I'm having a hard time finding what to be grateful for. So here's what I believe. I believe that this rise and grind type of mentality, it's not that it's bad, because there is always a place that we need to hustle a little bit, right? Owning your own business, having customers, having clients. I don't know anyone who has a business who doesn't have to work hard, right? So I'm not promoting here not to do the work, but I'm talking about the grit and the grind that feels like you are consistently trying to push up against a brick wall, but you can't find a way through. So today we're going to discuss how to actually make progress during these stressful times. I know the last 3 months has been uber stressful for a lot of folks. Today we're going to talk about 3 things that you can do and implement that will hopefully, raise an eyebrow or get you to look at what you're doing in a way that can make this more digestible. So for a moment, imagine that we're going to go on a car ride. And I'm going to give you this alternate route. So I'm going to share 3 things that will help you be consistent, sustainable. And, in my years of coaching, in my opinion, what I see, it's one of the only ways to go about finding the lasting things that you want out of life. Not the shiny objects, but a lasting way of being. Okay? So for a moment, let's focus on goals. So maybe it's a goal that you had, maybe it's a goal that you have right now. And we all have these big goals. Hopefully you have goals. And if you don't have goals, I would ask you, get them. Sit down and really think about what you want to do, what the mark that you want to leave here on this planet, right? I think John was talking about this earlier. I came in a little bit late, but it's not only who you want to be, but it's 10 years from now, 15, 20 years from now, not looking back and saying, I could have done that. Right? I could have done that. I should have done that. I should have taken that road, but I didn't. I was scared, or I was too embarrassed to ask. So for some of you, you might have a goal of starting a business. For some of you, you might have the goal of 10 times in your business, or, closing a big contract, getting a promotion at work. Maybe you feel inspired to inspire others and speak on stage. So whatever your goal is now, just think about that for a moment, right? Maybe it's a health goal, a weight loss goal. So let's just say with your goals, you're going on a trip and you're excited, and you're in a seminar, or you're talking with a friend, and you go, this is it. This is what I want to do. I feel clear and I'm excited. Car's ready to go. Let's go on this journey. Gas is in the tank. Bags are packed. And then you go full speed. So you're all amped up. You're stuck in the car and you're going, I'm driving to freedom. And then nothing happens. Nothing changes. Or if it changes, it's at a snail's pace, and it's just not happening as fast as you want it to happen. So what happens, right? What happens in that moment when you're excited, you're amped up, you're going toward your goal, and then the car just completely stalls out? Does it feel like you bump up against things that are not working, right? So maybe it's the reasons that are coming up that something's not working, or you don't have enough of something and you're frustrated. you feel down, maybe your confidence is lacking because you're going at this for 1-2 years, and whatever you want out of life just isn't seeming to happen. And then what happens is doubts, fears, anxiety, your security for your family, they just keep going like this, right? And they get to be at an all-time high. And then you have the last 3 months happen with the pandemic, right? A little bit of civil unrest and, the economy kind of teetering. And it's a recipe for a really bad trip. So what do you do during and whether it's now or this could happen in the future, or this may have happened to you, what do you do during that time when you feel that something is just not working the way that you want it to? What causes your car to stall out? What causes you to, like Thelma and Louise, get to the cliff where you're going, how did we get here? Have you ever had this scenario happen to you where you're talking with a friend, right? And like I was saying earlier, is that you have this clear vision, right? In the moment you're having a glass of wine or having a beer or something, and you're talking over dinner, and you talk about a food product that you want to bring to market, right? And in that moment, that popcorn or that's something that you go, oh, that's a genius idea. And everyone goes, yeah. And you start talking about it, and something about that idea, that seed, is really exciting. Or maybe it's a new business that you want to start, or you want to move somewhere, or you want to have you think of a van lifestyle for a year, whatever it is, whatever your goal is. Think back if you've ever had that, and you get that excitement, that passion. And then all of a sudden, a week goes by, 2 weeks go by, and you're not feeling it anymore. You were so clear. You saw all of the opportunity, the possibility. The road was right there in front of you. And in that moment, all roads were open to you. What happened? What happens when the reality or the linear mind sets in? Here's what happens. And here's some of the things that you say. Right? Some of the things that you say, the voices that are in your head, right? Some of those naysayers, fears, doubts. I think it's really important to give voice to what's actually happening in your head. And that might sound like, well, I can't do that because, and you have a laundry list of ideas of why it won't work. You might hear something like, well, could that really happen? Could I really be the person to do that? Who am I? Right? Or you start to think, well, other people are in this financial business, or other people are coaching, other people are way better than me. So many people are podcasting. Why would I ever start the podcast? There's so many people that are doing it really well. And all of a sudden, that excitement that you had to share that idea to inspire people and to get your message out, grow that business that you want to grow, it flatlines. One of the things that I hear most often is not having enough of something. Right? I don't have enough money. I don't have enough time. I don't have enough energy. And it even goes as deep as underneath that, some people thinking they're not enough. I'm not enough to be that person in my vision. That future person that I see, that I connected to and got a glimpse and I got really excited about, I could feel it in my body. I don't know, could I really be that? So in that moment, when you bring all of those thoughts to the possibility that you're so excited about, it completely shuts the momentum down. So here's what happens. You hit these invisible roadblocks. These are thoughts, predominantly, by the way, other people's thoughts. And I'm not here to make anyone bad or wrong or, hate their childhood, but they're thoughts that you've picked up along the way, right? From 0 to 7, our sense of self comes from the people around us, the world around us. So you get your sense of self, your thoughts, from the people around you. So maybe it was a parent, maybe it was a sibling, maybe it was a teacher who started to tell you, oh, well, you're not good at this, or you're so messy, or you can't do this, or whatever it is. And that starts to go in as your thoughts, right? And what happens, those voices crystallize into your voice. So a lot of what you're hearing in your head, A, it's not you, and B, it's probably not even true, right? Just because someone along the way said, gosh, you're terrible at math, you'll never be good at math, does that mean that you can't learn it? Does that mean that you can't go into a business where there's math involved, but something about that business excites you and you actually like the numbers if you could get over your fear of numbers? So these are the blocks, the roadblocks that are stopping you from getting the things that you actually want, stopping you from taking the actions that you want. And a lot of people, I love this whole fear of success. I'm not sure I fully buy into fear of success, but it is fear of hitting these roadblocks, because I guarantee that somewhere along the line, you've hit these roadblocks and it sucks. It feels bad. And no one wants to come up against their own roadblocks because it's the voices that are telling them, right? These thoughts, these doubts, these fears. Voices kind of sounds like you're schizophrenic. That are telling you no. So how do you shift this? Here's where I'm going to share 3 things with you that can help you shift gears to embody the life that you want to have. And notice I didn't say get the life that you want to have. It's embody the life that you want to have. The life can look one way and you can feel another. And we'll talk more about this, but you all know, right? It's kind of what I mentioned earlier about my life is everything looked perfect from the outside. And most people looked and said, oh, there's a mansion and you have this, and there's a bowling alley in the house. How? I would never leave the house. Until a pandemic hits and you think, I just want to leave the house. So before I move into the 3 things, I just want to give a quick tool that's really helpful. Label your roadblocks. So I've seen this client after client is if we leave those doubts and fears unchecked, if they are in your mind in the driver's seat, then the things that you want to do bump up against that. There's a block and you just turn a different way. And a lot of times those doubts, those fears, they feel so big. They feel insurmountable. But there's this crazy thing, why coaching works so well, right? Or therapy or any kind of, personal development, therapeutic modalities, when you actually give voice to that, when you get it out of your head, which can feel like a Grand Canyon, and it's silent, it's in the background, and you get it out of your head and onto a piece of paper, or you say it out loud to someone else who's neutral, who's trained, what happens is you hear yourself saying that. And I can't tell you how many times I've heard people go, oh, wait, that's silly. Oh, wait, I haven't done that. I'm scared of doing this because of this reason. It sounds ridiculous as I'm saying this. And I say, yes. Can you believe I actually get paid for that? But that's what happens. And just so there's understanding here of the process, when you can take those doubts, fears, naysayers, hecklers, and you write it out on a piece of paper, you go from something really big that's steering your ship into a little word or sentence on a piece of paper. Now you're looking at it differently, you're seeing it differently, and you can problem solve, you can laugh, you can say that's ridiculous, but you can come at it from a different angle. You can look at it in a different way. You're dead in the water if you are just listening to your thoughts that are, rife with doubt and fear. So here's roadblock number 1. Misusing motivation instead of creating momentum. So a lot of times people will say, I just need to get more focused, right? If I just had the motivation, or I was disciplined enough, and I don't know what happens, but it's like I'm good for a week, and I'm eating well, and I've been to the gym a couple times, and then I don't know, I'm just not motivated. I think we live in a culture where there's a lot of noise, right? And I'm outing myself a little bit because I am a motivator, but you have to have the precise and right motivation in order to move. But it's not just about motivation, because motivation isn't sustainable, and motivation actually changes. What motivates you today might not motivate you 4 months from now or 6 months from now, because you're constantly changing and evolving. You're a dynamic being. So listen, I could sit here and get you really amped up, or you could be somewhere and you can go, okay, I'm ready to go. And it's like being on 5 cups of coffee or, Red Bull, and you're jacked up and you're ready to move forward. And then you do, and it doesn't work. What do you think happens to all of that energy? All of that energy that was inside of you, all that hype, all of that excitement, all of that, I'm going to go do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. It has nowhere to go. And what happens is it's an implosion, right? You start taking it out on yourself. It dings your confidence. You start saying, what's wrong with me? I see other people doing this and getting what they want or hitting that goal. Why can't I? So instead of hyping yourself up, calm yourself down. Still yourself. Take time for reflection and go inward to know what your next move is, to know what you really want, to get clear instead of just coming from this headspace of, fast and furious. Be intentional. So here's motivation versus momentum, okay? And I'm not fully poo-pooing motivation because here's the truth. Everything that isn't moving needs something to move. It needs the right motivation, the right force. So it is important, but it's kind of like starting your car with a spark plug. There's the spark, engine started, but that's not going to move the car. So, part of what I do with people when I'm working with them is I weed out all the things that aren't working, and I find the exact right motivation, the thing that is going to get them to move initially. But to go back to a health goal, right? Motivation isn't sustainable. You take someone who has a weight loss goal, and you put them on a diet, and you put them in the gym, and they're working hard, and they're doing all these things, right? They're motivated. I'm going to do this. And they have a trainer. I'm going to do this. And then they lose half a pound after all of that hard work and energy. What do you think is going to happen? After a few months, they're going to give up. However, if you create momentum, if you find a way for them to actually lose weight, if you find a way for their clothes to fit differently, if you find a way for them to see themselves differently, and they look and they like what they're seeing, or they're getting compliments from other people, which validates them, that momentum is going to carry them further than anything else. It's key. So you don't need more motivation necessarily. You need the right motivation, but you need to create momentum in your life. So let's move on to number 2. Number 2 is falling into the trap of money first. So think about this. Is there ever something that you wanted to do in your life, your dream, your goal, anything, but you go, well, I have to have, a certain amount of money first. And, John might kill me for saying this, but yes, money helps. Okay. And as I've said, I've been on both sides, so I understand. I'm not saying that money doesn't help. I'm not saying that money doesn't afford choices, that money doesn't afford more freedom. But if you wait to only have enough money, only when you have enough money to take the action that you want to take or do that thing that you want to do, it's a trap. And it's really discouraging because you can never get what you want now, right? And self-help teaches us, be present, be in the now. So I'm not saying go be frivolous and go be crazy and spend all your money. What I am saying is, please take a look at things that you say, well, I should just clean my house because I'd really like to hire someone to clean so I don't have to do it, and this frees up time and energy, and I could work on my business that I want to start. I could spend more time with the family, but that just, I shouldn't do that right now. Maybe you should. Maybe freeing up that time and energy puts you in a position to go, I'm free. And you feel the shift and you go, I am going to spend the day with my family, or I'm going to go do this activity. I'm going to go put 3 hours into my business that I want to create and do X, Y, and Z steps. That will pay off more than if you just sit back going, I really, really, really want this, but I just can't. Right? It's almost like playing the part of needing a wardrobe change. And you know that to show up the way you need, you might need to look more presentable. But you wait until you have enough money to buy that suit or that dress to be presentable because, you just think that's the safe thing to do. But sometimes you need to make that shift of buying that outfit, of showing up, of feeling the way that you need. And notice, what's changing is the feeling. It's the way that you feel you appear to be so that you can feel differently about yourself. And, success models show that when people act successfully, I'm sure you've heard this a million times, right? Play the role of being successful. Act the way that you want to be. And when you act that way, you bring the things that you want to you even quicker. A quick story. I was, maybe this was 5 years ago or so, maybe 6, I can't remember. And I was talking to a colleague over lunch, and he was saying how he takes 4 days off a month, midweek. And I thought to myself, how are you doing that? That's incredible. I want that so badly. And I didn't even say any of this out loud. I just sat there and nodded my head. And I remember coming home and telling my wife, I don't know how this is going to happen, but I have to do that. I want to go kayaking, in the summers here in Portland. I want to go camping with my kids. I didn't have that experience. I wanted to do that with my kids now as they're growing up. And I want to just, I want to do things that are hands-on. I need the time. And what that did was, that was a seed that was planted. And because I connected to the freedom that I had of doing that, what it would feel like to have that time, I started to model my business around that. And certainly I was losing money by doing that, right? All signs said, well, 4 days a week, you're going to lose. That's 4 days that you won't be working with clients or teaching a group. The craziest thing happened is I did that. And I 2 to 3 times my business that year alone. And I didn't start that even until, early Q2. Something about that, I knew that I wanted that so badly. And what it did was it freed up all sorts of space. And I felt like I finally have the job now that I really wanted. I'm giving to myself, I'm nurturing myself. And that opened up a whole wave of new clients, more money, all these opportunities to come my way. So a quick idea of the flow of money and how it actually works, how I've seen this work in people's lives is, like I said, playing the part, feeling it, right? Taking the actions that, let's say, as an example, it's a business, right? Taking the actions that successful business owner would take, or taking the actions of a really present, happy person. Like, how would you show up in your life if you woke up really happy and just felt good about what you had and who you were? How would you act? What decisions would you make from that place? And here's the thing that still blows my mind. It's like a tuning fork. If you have a really low resonance and you tap that fork, you're going to attract that lower resonance, right? And a lot of, the thought leaders talked about this, right? Your thoughts attract to you because you can be in a thought-based world where you're, in a sense, creating a lot of your reality. Or you get a tuning fork that's higher pitched and you ding it up here, and all of a sudden everything is flowing to it that is of a higher caliber. So if it's more money you want or more happiness, you have to act similar to what it is that you're wanting. So here's a big one that I see people get tripped up on, is the relationship with giving. So giving and receiving, giving and receiving. And I watch, I was even guilty of this for a really long time. I'm a giver, but if I didn't have it to give, I would hold on, especially at a time where I didn't have much and I was more in survival mode and lack consciousness. And I was like, I would like to donate to that, but I can't. Right? I didn't stop and go, what could I give? I really want to do that. So whether it's donating or not, think of anything in your life you really want to do. If you can't do it fully, don't just stop there. Say, how can I do some of it? What can I give? Maybe it's 5 cents. Maybe it's $5. But money and the things that you want, money is currency. It's a current. It's like an ocean that comes in and goes out and comes in and goes out. And most people think of it in the way of, money coming in, money coming in, money coming in, and only focus on the tide coming in. But you need the tide to go out to then come back in and bring with it all that it's going to bring, right? It's how fish spawn. It's how life happens. All ocean life, it's based on tide and temperature and current. So it's really important to know that if it's something you want, if it's something you want to come in, it's really important to look at what's going out. Okay, roadblock number 3, prioritizing objects over emotions. I just need that promotion and I'll be happier. Or once I get to $1 million or 5 million or 10 million, 20 minutes, whatever your line is, then you can relax. Then you can be happy. Then you can finally, enjoy your life. That's it. It's a trap. Now, again, I'm not poo-pooing things, right? I like things. I like the house that I live in. So it's not the things though that you're after. It's the feeling that you think that thing is going to give you, right? It's how you want to feel from having $1 million. Because if it's really just $1 million or 5 million or 10 million that you want, if it's just money, right? More people would be using money as wallpaper, pasting it up and, having a funny smelling room with a lot of green bills with old deceased balding men on it. And that would be enough. But it's not money that people are after. It's what the life that they think that that's going to bring, which really is the feeling that they want to have. And, I can tell you that in the last, so it started about 13 years ago. I can tell you that in the last 6 years, I've seen this happen exponentially quicker. I don't know if the world is speeding up or something's changing. I noticed that when people get really focused and clear on what it is they want to feel, they don't have to wait for that 5 million to start to feel the way that they want. So in other words, they bridge the gap because it could take 5 years to get to that, money goal that you have. But if you could start to feel the way that you want, that you think you're going to feel from that money goal, and you can start to cultivate that and build that now, so much of the time, that money goal starts to happen because you've connected to the goal underneath the goal. You've connected to the person you want to become, the way that you want to feel, and you end up taking the steps necessary to create the money that you want. It happens all the time. And I'm still blown away by it. Sort of like teacher and student. I teach this and I also watch it all the time in awe of how quickly it can actually happen, and how the universe in a way seems to realign and start to bring things to people. But it's also, the benefit of this is people become better people. They become happier, right? Because certainly you've heard this story, lottery winners, and all they wanted to do was win this amount of money, and they win all this money and then they're miserable, right? It's not just the money. It's how they think they're going to feel. So again, clarify your goal underneath the goal. Okay, so last thing I want to share with you is this sort of transition, this secret shift. I've shared about misusing motivation instead of creating momentum, falling into the money first trap, and also prioritizing objects over emotions, right? Getting clear about the way that you want to feel, not just the object that you want to have. But here's the hidden door, the secret door into the next room. And that is, you must create an emotional and physical experience of your goal. It's why self-help alone, why concepts don't stick the way that most people want them to, is because, you could hear, don't sweat the small stuff, or be grateful, or, have more gratitude, have a gratitude journal, just be grateful for what you have. Joseph Campbell is big on follow your bliss, and everyone got on the follow your bliss train and expected that there wasn't going to be work involved. And all you have to do is follow your bliss and everything works out. It became incredibly frustrating for people when, you hear this over and over again, be present, be in the now. but you're not, you can't, or it feels very hard to create that living, breathing experience. And anytime you can create an experience, you will always, it lives in your body, you can always recreate it. So think of a time in your life where it could have been watching a sunset. It could have been, you know, for me, they're these simple times. It's getting on the ground and playing with my children. It's reading a book by a fireplace and having a good conversation. I can't tell you how many aha epiphany moments I've had washing dishes or brushing my teeth. And in that moment, something clicks and I connect to the feeling of gratitude. I connect to the embodiment of what that's like. I connect to, you know, something greater, and all of the follow your bliss or don't sweat the small stuff, it becomes an experience. So it goes from concept, from head into the heart. And when those things become experiences, again, life gets better. And when life gets better, guess what? The people around you notice, right? You can tell your children all day long to be nice, be kind. And it may help. But if you show them how to be nice, what being nice and kind to people looks like, they're going to see that. They're going to see the experience, the embodiment of it, and they are 9 times more likely to do that. Even if they rebel against it, it will be in their consciousness and they will do it later on in life, if not before. So this is when life starts to get really, really fun, is when you become who you truly want to be. So it's not just achieving your goals, it's becoming your goals. When you become your goals, that's when things start to really get interesting. Thanks.
Oh, well, I hope you guys got value out of that now. My phone was blowing up right now. I'm serious. Like, what just happened? Am I still on, or what happened? Am I still on? Am I good? Yeah? Okay, cool. I'm serious. Like, my phone's blowing up. Look, I don't know if you guys can see this. Can you guys even see that? Look at that. It says, I love this guy, right? I mean, you guys, right? Okay, do me a favor. I know we can't see you guys, but you can see us. Do me a favor, hit the little button, the little high five thing on the very bottom, right? Hands up, that's what it's called. Hands up, raise hand, come on, there it is. You see that blowing up right there? My God, you guys, that was like, I was like listening to Master Yoda right now. It was so deep, so profound, and he delivered it. And I mean, I got on and I'm like, woo, yeah, I was like his cheerleader. And then it was like, woosah, like I felt so spiritual, man. It was so profound, Randy. That was awesome. And I loved what you said about money too. It was very powerful, because you shouldn't, you know, guys, if you want to just focus on money, because I know it's not money that you guys want, right? Because who wants just to, you know, there's a lot of people who have money that are miserable, man. I mean, seriously, like they're miserable. Like I know it sounds weird because you're like saying, yeah, it's easy for you guys to say because you guys had money, but you know, and you know, we don't have any, and I like to have more in savings. And then when you actually get it, it's not like what you thought it was like. Does that make sense? It's not what you think. I mean, I know it sounds crazy, you guys, but it's not. You know, like when I bought my Ferrari, like I was like, oh my God, I got a Ferrari. And it was cool at the time when they came and dropped it off on their little flatbed and all that kind of stuff. But honestly, I don't even drive my Ferrari. It literally sits there. It's collecting dust in my garage. Now, some of you car enthusiasts are like, how dare you, John, right? You know, but I mean, I don't go into my garage and go, oh, I love my Ferrari. I love my wife, right? I love my kids. Are you with me on that? But the money thing, you guys, will come and go. You're going to have your ups and you're going to have your lows, right? It's going to come and go. One of the best things that my mentor said to me, you guys, he said, things don't matter, but people do. right? And this is, and I loved your message, Randy. It was so compelling. I mean, maybe you guys, you almost have to go back and read this again. You know, you ever watch like a movie? One of my favorite movies after I saw it like 5 times, one was called The Matrix, right?
Me too.
Yeah. And then another was called Inception. You guys ever see that with Leonardo DiCaprio? You're kind of like, you walk out, have you guys ever gone to see a movie and you walk out of the theaters with your friends and family, you're like, you all look at each other, you're standing in a circle and you're like, what'd you guys think? And you're kind of like, has that ever happened to anybody, right? Hands up, right? And then you go to eat, right? You go to Cheesecake or whatever, I don't know, California Pizza Kitchen, and you're hanging out, you're having sex. Did you guys get that part? And then you're like, no, wait, I didn't get, and then you're like, oh, you got to see it again. They have to go back and see it again. And when you see it the second, third time, you're like, oh, boom. It's like one of those aha moments, okay? Let me just tell you what Randy just shared with you. It was deep, like so profound. Like you have to go back and watch this again, because if you listen to his message, he in like 35 minutes or something like that, went through a message that could talk for 5 or 6 hours. Like each slide was like an hour conversation. And I hope you guys go back and watch this again on YouTube. And so, well, listen, I know there's a few questions that came up here. Let's talk about this. Thank you. Here's a message from Mike Duvere. Oh, where'd it go? It was up here. Oh, Anna, you're like, I was going to read that. All right, here we go. Where do I find it? You put it under dismissed? Oh, it's already answered? Where did it go? It's on the bottom? Okay. Yeah, Mike Duvere said, thanks, Randy. Love how down to earth you are and how you embody a calm that most people cannot even imagine in your hectic world. Thank you. So that came from Michael Duvere. Thank you for that.
Thank you, Michael.
Yeah, let's see. Where'd all my other questions go? They're all just like disappearing here. Oh, okay, cool. One here, I don't know, Mike Sakuda says, you said after you asked for help, what or who exactly helped you get the ball rolling? What was the circumstance? Is that the question, Mike? I'm assuming that is, right? Shy Gold just put in here, this is great content. Okay, thank you. So I guess that was the question. I don't know if that was directed for me or is that directed for Randy, Mike? So maybe if you want to just be clear about that. What you said that you asked for help. What or who exactly did you get the ball rolling? So you want to answer that, Randy? Do you feel like answering that?
Yeah. I mean, even if it wasn't for me, it applies because I had that moment where I was in the throes of addiction and, didn't want to do that anymore. And here's the craziest thing that to this day, I still am thankful that I'm alive. I had many near misses. The ball that was in motion wasn't necessarily a person. It was a series of circumstances. It was me having to have a long, hard talk with my mom after I went to a birthday dinner with her and thought I was pulling it all together, but clearly I wasn't. And that's when I had to face it and go, yeah, I'm messy right now. And then, 4 days after that, I was looking into treatment centers. And then I had this party at my house I was living at and ended up driving someone home at 8 a.m. and coming home and literally falling face first on the ground. And so these series of circumstances, it got worse, it got messier. But it was almost like because I asked and because I wanted it so badly, I mean, every fiber of my being was saying, no more. Things started orchestrating themselves. I never would have planned it that way, but they orchestrated themselves in such a way that it ushered me into where I needed to go.
Okay, there you go. Hope that helped, Mike. Appreciate the question. So listen, you guys, thank you guys. I see the comments. Thank you. Everybody's saying thank you right now, Randy. Let's bring up the PowerPoint here real quickly. You guys can all see this? Yes. Okay, several of you guys said you already went on Amazon to buy his book. And so thank you for that. And do that. You guys, you really should. You should read it. There's so much more value out of the book. So go and get the book. It's right here. It is available on Kindle, paperback, hardbook. I think there's an audio also. I'm not sure. And you can actually peek inside here in the actual book and see, you know, some of the little clips, kind of like the preview, if you would. And it's only $8, guys, on Kindle. My God, man, it's a steal. Where can you get kind of content for $8? I mean, seriously. Look, I'll tell you what. When people say, "Oh, you guys do this for the money," oh yeah, for my $2.99 for my ebook, okay, $7.99. By the time we pay our publishers, you guys, and then I got to pay the Napoleon Hill Foundation, I'll be lucky to make 50 cents, okay? So when people say things like that, it's just like stupidity, okay? When people say things like that, it's nonsense that we're doing this for money. You guys, we're already financially independent, but like we're just doing this to cover our expenses and our costs. And, you know, I mean, that's what Amazon wants. I mean, we don't even, by the way, I was just told from my publisher that we can't even control some of the pricing. A lot of this pricing is done and dictated by Amazon, right? So I don't even control that. It's like Amazon does it based on some algorithm. So anyway, there you go. There's your book. Now let me ask you guys all this question. How many of you guys would love to get mentored by Randy Spelling and some other friends and other speakers? Raise your hand. How many of you guys would like that? Hands up high. Okay, I'll tell you what, just if you go to hire Randy to go and speak for a day or an hour or whatever, we're talking like $25,000, $50,000, $100,000, okay, for like an hour, okay? And so it's for you guys right here. Randy's doing something very, very special for you. It's a one-day coaching and mentoring with Randy Spelling and other speakers on July 11th, okay, July 11th. And it's an 8-hour deal from like 10 to 5. And so there's going to be obviously Randy. I think I'm going to have a few words in that as well. I'm going to speak you guys as well. And there'll be other speakers. It's a one-day thing. If you're interested, it's exclusive. This is not something that we're going to go and publicize out there. It's a very special by invitation only with Randy and other special speakers. If you're interested in that right now, what I want you to do, because we have a few slots for just a few of you special people who want that extra coaching and mentoring with Randy, email Anna right now at Anna@tgrmastermind.com. tgr@mastermind.com. Did I say Anna? Oh, I'm sorry. Anna@tgrmastermind.com. Not TGR@tgrmastermind, but Anna with 2 N's at tgrmastermind.com. And and I'll tell you what, right now, just where to go? Oh shoot, here it is. Okay, I'm gonna do something very special for you guys. Okay, here's what I'm gonna give you. Okay, for the first 50 people right now to email her, we're using the honor system. You got to trust us. We have no reason to lie. Only God above knows, okay? And I want to do good things, okay? I want to go to heaven. I want to do the right things here. Are y'all with me, right? So for the first 50 people right now, if you sign up for this program, what I'm going to do also is I'm going to throw in the movie, Think and Grow Rich, the movie, and I'm going to throw in my book. You're going to get both of those, okay? Come on now, guys. I mean, seriously, okay? This is like a $60 value between these in itself. So I'm going to throw that in if you guys sign up for this right now, first 50 people, right? So we can help you guys, and then Randy can really get in there with you guys and some of these other speakers. So this will be exciting. July 11th from 10 to 5 o'clock p.m. Pacific Standard Time, only $197. Use some of that money, for crying out loud, that you got from the government, okay? And go become better. Don't be bitter. Get better, people, okay? Don't go out there and buy another stupid car. Go buy a big screen TV or upgrade your phone. Your phone worked fine. The i4 works just fine, okay? You don't need an i10, X12 super galactic phone. Go and invest into you. Go and invest into your future, okay? I want you to know. Hey, listen, I invest in myself, but I pay big money, man. I go and get mentored by other people that are like billionaires, right? I'm not a billionaire. I'm going to be a billionaire. So freaking bad. Just kidding. Anyway, that's That's a song. Did you guys get that? You guys didn't get that. Okay, never mind. Yeah, I want to be a billionaire, so I pay big money to go get mentored by billionaires, and so that I can become a billionaire, right? How do you become a billionaire? Go surround yourself with 5 or 10 of them, you'll become a billionaire, right? And so, no, you don't just hang out. It's not like you just hang out and become a billionaire, but you got to start sharing ideas and learn how they streamline, right? How they scaled their businesses to become a billionaire, right? And so, yeah. So there you have it, you guys. So look, we look forward to seeing you guys next week on all my other talks, and I talked to you guys about that. Just so you guys know, if you joined us a little bit late, this coming, by the way, read these books right here. Awesome books with Tony and Ben Baldwin, Patrick Kelly. Also, Cash Flow Quadrant. These are great mindset books. And then, of course, day after tomorrow, you guys, we're going to talk about protecting your businesses. Should you have an LLC? Should you be an S Corp, a C Corp? What's the difference? How do you protect yourself from lawsuits, asset protection, all that kind of stuff? 2 amazing lawyers. And then, of course, I've got Shintastic Saturday this coming week. And then next week, you guys, we have Sonia Stribling, who's got her own show on Bravo and just exploding around the world right now. She's doing virtual events, and people are dropping $2,000. $2,000, you guys, and we're doing it for $197 with Randy Spelling, the one and only, you guys. Okay, so make sure you guys email Anna right now. God bless every single one of you guys. Please continue to wear your mask, right? I know you hate it. You don't feel like it's America and all that. Yeah, we're just trying to save your life. That's all, okay? I mean, guys, come on, seriously. It's not that inconvenient. Just slap on a little mask, keep your distance, do your social distancing, be respectful, be nice, be kind, everyone. Thank you, Randy. Appreciate you, brother. You rock. Thanks for being here with us tonight. You guys, Randy Spelling, give him a big round of applause, everyone. All right. Thank you, everyone. Have yourself an amazing night. Take care, everyone. We'll see you next week on Tuesday Talks. Take care.